What the hell? God damn it. She's not broken down. She just needs a nap. That's what it is, needs a nap. So dang hot. Subscribe. Good morning. Welcome back to Veteran Idiot. Today we're going to be putting in a gas tank in the 66 F250. Now in a previous episode I know we had talked about how there were some issues with pulling air into the filter in this truck, and that got worse. Left me stranded on the side of the road. Once it got lower than a half a tank, it just wouldn't pick up any more fuel anymore. So it was time to buy this bad boy from LMC Truck. Picked this one up for a 0% discount. LMC Truck, 0% discount, but she's in real nice shape. She'll do just right. Also picked up some other stuff over here. I'll get into that in a second. Kind of a little surprise. Actually, it's not a surprise. I led you into it on the last episode. But let's get started. Whew. It is hot in here. Should have brought that in last night. Oh well. Anyways, so wouldn't you know it, the only way I could get this guy home, it's a little dark in here, let's turn on some lights. There we go. So wouldn't you know it, the only way I could get this guy home was to fill it all the way up so it wouldn't pull any more air into the filter and die. So it's full. I'm going to pop underneath. I'm going to put some gas cans underneath it, and we're going to drain as much as we possibly can out of it, which, like I said, it's probably only going to be halfway because whatever hole or crack there is in this pickup tube isn't going to let us drain any more than that. All right, well, that's probably going to take forever, so I'm going to go ahead and start undoing most of this up here. Hoping I don't have to take out the seat. I shouldn't have to. It just should move forward enough. Yeah, we should be good. So it's just these 3 bolts up on the top here, the filler neck hose that's really, really hard to slide off, by the way. The sensor I'm going to leave in place for now so we're not splashing everywhere. I'm not going to disconnect this hard line until we're completely drained or got as much as we can out of it. And then once that's done, disconnect that, and this whole thing just kind of slides up out of its seat down in the bottom. And it's actually pretty simple design. One thing you got to be careful of is when you're pulling this out is you don't break this hard line that wraps around the front side of this gas tank over here. Other than that, it should just slide right out. Luckily, one of them is already missing. I don't have to take that one out. I actually just replaced this filler neck not too long ago because it had a little indent in where somebody tried to use a screwdriver to move the grommet up on top of it. And that little indent was allowing fumes to pass into the cabin of the truck, which was terrible if you close the windows in the truck for any given amount of time. Did I mention these are a pain to get out? The trick is to leave this bottom one tight, so when you go pull the filler neck off, it doesn't take the tube with it, because once the tube comes off, it is really, really hard to get a hold of both to try and spin both off unless they've been off recently. Also, it's worth mentioning there's lots of sharp corners in here. Ouch. Oh, yeah.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Slide those sensors over. All right, let's let her drain. Well, when you're working on the floor with dogs, there's always one thing you can count on. Lots of drool in the face. All right, it's finally drained. But there are a ton of fumes in here.
Wow, man. That's some heavy.
Yeah. What do you think, Zeus? Yeah, you said there's lots of fumes. All right, let's get this tank out of here. All right, so we got the old one out, the new one's bolted in. Now we got to take out the fuel sending unit. So it's just these 5 bolts here, slides right out. You have to kind of turn it to get the float around, and maybe it'll read how much fuel is in it. All right, so it's just a 1/4 inch bolts and they come right out. I've already replaced this fuel sending unit because it wasn't working on the dash. And I'm beginning to think that it's not the issue with the fuel sending unit. And I think it's going to be something with the dash itself. The needle kind of comes up a little bit, it bounces, and then it drops back down. So I'm not sure that the needle is actually set or mounted anymore to the actual dial. So it just slides and comes down. This last one's a flathead screw. That's not going to be typical for you. It's just whoever Farmer John was working on it before put this in. I don't have anything with the right thread pitch to replace it, so it's going back in. Come off in one piece. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on. Don't let me down now. Almost there. Ah, sticking. All right. Woo. I'm gonna throw a little bit of copper gasket on here just to get another seal on it. Slap it in. All right, so I've already dropped this in, but I want to let you know that these sending units are clocked. The 5 actual holes for the studs in the fuel tank, they're spaced different on one side, so you can only put it in one way. So don't worry about getting it in the wrong way or clocked or turn the wrong direction. It's only going to go in one way. And that's usually with the ground facing towards the driver's side. I don't know how it is with the Chevys, but that's the way it is on this Ford. Use a star pattern to tighten it down. You don't want to really crank these down. They're little tiny bolts and it's a little tin plate, so just enough. I'm sure there's a torque spec for it, but I'm going with 1 Ooga Dooga. All right, pop the ground back on. And the sending unit. All right, it's ready to be filled back up with gas. Side note, whoever invented these and made them mandatory, I hate you. That is all. All right, gas tank's all filled up, it's installed, all the hoses are hooked up and the sending unit's hooked up. Now it's time to see if the fruits of our labor were successful? I don't know what the rest of that saying is. If you know what it is, put it in the comments. It's already full of fuel to the top. It's going to pull some air from the pickup tube since it was completely drained. And but after that, we should be good to go. Let's fire it up. This might take a while. This 240 uses no fuel and gets about 700 miles to a gallon. Check up on all my oil leaks. Got to be careful of these nipple flickers down here when you don't have the fan shroud on them, or beard trimmers for those that were offended by that. Alright, there we go, some bubbling. Starting to get to that part where the pickup tube. Now I'm expecting these bubbles. What I'm not expecting is for once that tube clears, that we get to a certain point and we're getting no fuel to the actual engine itself. Alright, so all the bubbles are out. It looks like we're good to go.
You ready?
Give me a moment, woman. I got things to do. Jesus. Welcome to your pause for safety. If you cherish your life and don't like pain, you should remember your wife's plans. And she's beautiful and I love her.
No,
And I've been giving it some thought. We should get another horse.
Aww.
All right, now, so on to what's in the box.
What's in the box?
So we talked about last week, in the last video, we put in resistors, wire-in resistors, the 69C10 for the LED lights that are in it. Now that's kind of the old school way of doing it. The much easier way of doing it is putting in one of these flasher resistors. So you got the flasher underneath the dash. In these older trucks, they're set up for the regular filament bulbs. Well, this one here is set up for LED bulbs, so it's got its own resistance ready to go. So this guy slides right in place of our old one. You do have to pop on a ground. It doesn't use a casing ground like the other one does. Put this in place, picks up the LED flashers, and gives you the appropriate push. It also comes with several different adapters for this guy here, but really cool little unit. This one's by Union Pacific. I'll put the part number down in the description for those of you who want to look into it. They also got it on LMC Truck's website. Let's throw it in. All right, so it might be hard for some of you to see, but here is our factory flasher right here. So I'm going to slide this out of its home, disconnect the plugs, and then put in the new one, put the ground to the back side here, plug it back in, and then we should be done. Like I said, this is much easier than the older style. All right, so I got it all hooked in. It's actually really, really easy. It just slid right out of the mount. It's in the same orientation as the one that came out. Just plug the two wires in, clips the ground on, Got the key on, let's see if it works. Oh yeah, let's go look outside. So it's important to note that this isn't a rich man's world as far as rebuilding these trucks. I mean, it can go pretty crazy with prices and going extreme paint jobs and everything else. But everything you see me do here, all this stuff is pennies on the dollar. I'm not going broke to build these trucks or do the things that I want to do. It's mostly just doing something, putting parts on a truck, whether it be old parts, new parts, anything. It's the joy of it. It's the relaxation. It's calming. It's a cathartic, if you want to call it that. And you know, get out there, do these things, drive these vehicles. That C10 from Vice Grip Garage that my cousin bought, that thing was only $2,900. Worth probably less than that at the point, but it's the nostalgia of it. It is a blast to drive out on the road, just knowing that it was part of something bigger than just that moment. Go find something, put your heart into it, make it a hobby, and go out there and drive. Enjoy the vehicle and enjoy the life around it. Just enjoy everything about it.